All right, this is the NR2003 spotter pack tutorial I've come up with. My name's Adam. Hopefully it's short, but there's also, if it ends up being a long video, that's because it's going to save you a lot of time of just some pitfalls I've come across and some tricks I've found and just little things here and there. The left of the screen should be basically everything we're going to cover. So if you have to scroll back through the video to find something that I talked about, it'll just be highlighted when you scroll through, so you'll be able to find it easier. Right out of the gate, what you need a microphone. Right now I have a Yeti something blue whatever, $100 whatever. And actually I think like a $8 USB mic might work better, because you don't really want clear, crisp audio on, from a spotter in a in-car radio, but you also need the spotter pack index resource from Mystical, and I'll have that linked in the description. You can see the URL there as well. And you need Audacity, the free Windows and Mac audio software. Or you can use whatever audio software that you like, as long as you're able to export it a certain way, which we'll talk about. So we'll jump right into it. This is me recording right now, talking. But in this other Audacity window, I have basically a file we're going to hear very shortly in the game. And this actually won't play because another Audacity window is running. But take a look at the bottom left here, 5512. Whenever you open a Audacity window, there'll be a project rate down here. And you just type in 5512, because there isn't an option for it in the drop down, but just type 5512 and just click away from it and you're fine. Like, it's even highlighted there, but just click away from it and you're fine. It's 5512. Every file that you put into the game for the spotter pack has to be 5512 hertz, 8-bit, a 5512 hertz 8-bit file. And we'll talk about this very shortly, actually right now. So, and we're basically going to have to do this twice, and I'll show you why. So we're going to go to Audacity here, and I'm going to select this audio that I'm going to put into the game. And I mean, we're just getting right into it right away to test this. The easiest way I found to do it, and we'll actually cover this later, is I made a hotkey for exporting selected audio. And right now, it's a default MP3. We don't want MP3. We want a 8-bit WAV file. So I go to other uncompressed files, and then in this drop-down, I'll find WAV Microsoft. It was already selected. And then I'll go to encoding unsigned 8-bit PCM. And then to test a file, the easiest way I found is to make a merge.wav file. So we're exporting that, putting this into the game right now. And I actually tested this beforehand to make sure it would all work. This is the file right here, the merge file that I just exported to test in-game. And to test it in-game, you go to NASCAR Racing Season, Sound, SPCC folder. And just in this folder is going to be an SPCC.dat file. And any file you drop into this folder with that .dat file, this WAV file will override the one that's in the .dat file. So this merge file is going to play when we open up the game here. But guess what? It's not going to be loud, because we're going to not put a lot of trucks out on the track now so we can load quicker. We're going to have a good sounding loud spotter at the beginning, and then it's not going to be loud when we merge.
4.5 is the speed limit. 45, 3,500 in second. Clear pit lane, get going there. This is the spotter pack tutorial merge wave file test.
All right, you couldn't hear Jack right there, right? Because basically what I learned is you have to amplify the audio to get it to play in game. So we're going to go do that right now, and I'll show you my workflow that I use. And I'm not an expert. I'm just some turd that was experimenting with Audacity, and I found a way to get reasonably clear audio into the game using Audacity. But this is how I do it. I recorded this, and again, your miles may vary on your recording volume. I had this recording volume. That's actually pretty low because it's actually the recording volume in this one. But my setting on my Yeti was like 25% gain on the microphone itself and then 50% in Audacity. So what I'm doing here to get this louder to make it sound good in game is as follows. I'll select it and go to normalize. And you can stop here for a second and check out these numbers. I experimented with these, and I ended up on something that sounded good, and I don't know what they all mean. But I hit normalize. Then I go to high pass filter, 1,006 decibels. Sure, I don't know, it worked. And then I go to low pass filter, 1,006. Done. Then I'll go to effect amplify, and just the number that I found worked was around the 40s. And you can see it's like, so it's huge right now and it's loud. But then I also go to limiter, and I don't know, I just fiddled with these sliders in the hard limit and the yes, all this. And you can always hit preview to hear what it's gonna sound like. So I do a limiter, and then finally I normalize it again. And there we go. Now this is the file that's going to play in game, and you'll have to get used to mousing across and selecting the files. And we'll do a quick run through on how fast it can go in terms of exporting the files. So we have this basically to the volume that is going to sound good in the game. So there's our merge wave file, and I'm going to go grab it from my desktop, and I'm going to throw it into here, and it's going to sound good. It's going to sound the same volume as the initial pit road speed limit call out that we heard earlier. And I mean, this is just an initial part of your testing is finding out a good volume.
3,500 in second. Clear pit lane, get going there. Test it, popping, test it. Syphilis, S's. This is the spotter pack tutorial merge wave file test.
So there you go. And what I was doing initially was testing the P's and the S's, because those are the ones that can sound really bad. And those the limiter I found really helps like cut off the S's and P's so they're not like really pronounced. Again, I'm a clown. There's probably that's what makes a community great. Is somebody else in the NR2003 community might be more experienced and actually have a career in sound engineering and whatnot, and they would know a much better way to make 8-bit files sound crisper, you know. But leave a comment or over on the forum here. I'll be posting the tutorial and everything in the spotter pack, and hopefully people feedback, and also, hey, you should change the limiter to 0.9 or whatever. I don't know. And the community can get together, and I have all these. I mean, I can make a spotter pack now in about 3.5 hours. So if there's something that drastically improves the quality of it, I would just make a new one. So that's the workflow. And then we tested the volume. That merge file, there's no really limit I've found in those individual wave files. I had one merge file test running for like 4 minutes and it played the whole 4 minutes. And you really don't want long wave files whenever we get into the actual spotter pack making, because everything gets queued up behind it. So if you have, say you have your truck, you got a truck high or you got a car high on your spotter pack, and then you make that like a minute long, like you got a car up high. Hey, speaking of high, have you ever flown in a plane up there? And you go on this long rant or something. When after that file plays, there'll be basically a minute of queued up calls, like truck high and then truck low. There's a wreck and turn 3 that happened a minute ago. So you really want to keep these brief. But in terms of the volume too, I mean, you've already seen the pitfalls of just jumping all in, getting your hands dirty, and trying to make a spotter pack without testing your volume first. You're in for a bad time. And my philosophy is just aim high. Go for a high volume, because guess what? The end user of the game can always turn it down in the slider. But if you already have it at a low volume and you recorded it at a low volume, it can only go so high. But they can always turn it down. So just aim high is my advice. Now let's go to, now that you've tested the audio, it's time to start making the spotter pack. And this is Mystical's spotter pack index resource. When you download it from there, you'll get all this. And you can open it up in Google Sheets, or you can open it up in Excel. And the good thing Mystical did was separate these into folders that also correlate with the sheets, the individual sheets in the spreadsheet. So it's really nice. But I've made like a bastardized version of it in terms of, you know, having gone through the paces 4 times now, which I'll talk about making spotter packs. I've found, again, Mystical did an amazing job. I probably wouldn't have even made the spotter pack if it wasn't for the index that Mystical made, but I found a better way to put some files in to remind you, hey, you'll see what I mean. So that's Mystical spotter pack. And what Mystical did was use the default spotter audio lines. Okay, we're back in third. Keep hustling, back in third. You know what that sounds like if you've played this game. But a lot of people use the Jimmy Johnson spotter pack these days, and I mean, if we were going to go all in, I would have made one of these indexes, but using the Jimmy Johnson audio lines. But the default lines, everybody knows these. I mean, even if you use Jimmy Johnson a lot, you'll always remember, oh man, they're showing us the black flag. Like, you know that sound. So that's Mystical's resource. It's very helpful. But here's my personalized version of it. I basically numbered these. I rearranged them because I didn't want to start right away with the car numbers, and those are actually dead last on my workflow. But I just wanted to start out with something basic, which the first thing is the penalties. Oh crap, they're showing us the black flag. And it's tough trying to make, I mean, we're really getting your, rolling up your sleeves here. It's hard to get these spotter lines out of your head that you've heard so many times. And I guarantee that a lot of these I kind of mimicked the default spotter because I don't know, it's just hard to get it out of your head. But the first page on I'm going to be mostly referencing my spotter tutorial for this because, hey, you know, and I gave Mystical credit here. But I mostly want to follow this because this is what I'm using to show you the little tips and tricks and the little hurdles you have to overcome when putting everything together. So penalties is done. Track locations, and we're going to test this shortly. Testing is going to be its own part of the whole deal. The pace cars I don't think is originally on Mystical's sheet here, but I put it here because all of these green ones lead into these next files. These files, there's 2 files that'll play. You'll be on pit road and the pace car's in 1A. It'll play the pace NX wave file and then play the 1A wave file. So I have these on the same page just to remind you, hey, these are the beginning of sentences and then these are the end of the sentences. Because there's the pace cars in 1A, there's a wreck on the back pits, in the back pits, there's a spin exiting the chute. So you can see all these things. And I mean, unless you're a robot, it's pretty impossible to keep like a flat tone for all of these. That's why, I mean, nothing's going to sound perfect. I don't know if, unless you're like a voice god, like I don't think you can really strive for perfection here, just to make it sound good, I guess. And you don't want to sound like a robot. And we'll that's fairly simple here, what I just explained. But I'll show you how to test those in game later, and it's easy. Just a little time consuming, relatively speaking, but not ridiculous. And then here's all the car conditions. You exploded a tire. Looks like we lost that motor. That's all these ones here. All right, Car Spotter 4. On my tutorial, all the purple ones they got to be succinct and clear. And what you want to do is a lot of these files that you export, you don't have to like zoom in and be right on them. You know how there's some like wiggle room here between the it's not really zooming in how I want to. You can see how there's like wiggle room here from the end of what I said and like that. You don't have to be right up against the actual audio all the time, but for these purple ones you probably should, because these are all hot action, like race call outs. You're on the right, 3 wide, you're in the middle, 3 wide, and you want those to start right away when they're triggered and end right away so the next one can start, which builds on earlier what I was talking about the game queuing up call outs. So you just want to be clear and have that audio selected in Audacity when you export it, like right on the audio, almost clip it really. So those are all the purple ones. The white ones are how you're doing in the race. And just pay attention here real quick, and it's real easy. These first one, BKs, are back in. You're back in first. Or what's he say? He says, all right, you're back in third. Keep hustling, or whatever that default spotter says. These play the first time you reach P1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 in the race. They'll only play once, and it will play the first time you reach the position in the race. And guess what? We all have our standings pulled up. Unless you're like hardcore all business, you have your standings pulled up on your screen. You don't have to know that you're in P2. So what I did with my starter pack was like, I'm just going to abandon what place I'm in and just give them some, guss them up some and encourage the driver and whatnot. And you'll hear these a lot when you're at restrictor plate tracks. When you're, not this one, not these first ones, because you only hear them once. But we'll talk about the ones that you hear a lot. You got a rocket ship today. That's one of the keep diggins. Both of these are keep diggins from the default spotter pack. This is green because you hear this one a lot in my experience. I've run, 10, 12 races with the spotter packs I've been testing and making, and you hear the dig wave a lot. I haven't heard the dig too much, but you hear it. And then you go to the in first through in fifth. These are ones that you hear every subsequent time you reach that position. So you heard these the first time, and these are the ones that you'll hear a bunch at restrictor plate tracks. If you're near the front, then you get moved to third, then you move back to first. You'll hear the boys in the garage gave you a great car. In my pack, you'll hear it a bunch because you keep on moving into these positions. And again, you don't want to keep on hearing, all right, you're in third, or maybe you do. I don't know. You can, whatever you want your spotter pack to sound like. Keep plucking that chicken is just a random encouragement that you hear a lot in my experience. So just a heads up there. Keep plucking that chicken. That's just something silly I put in there from that old video. Coming up on a lapper, the leader's coming up on you. Next truck is the leader. Leader's now on pit road. You've heard all this stuff. The car behind you is for position. Now you hear this one a lot. The position FT, which I think is you're racing the car. You're racing the car in front of you. Now these usually play when, like, during pit stops, or even if you're coming up on lappers and whatnot, and you don't know who you're racing. But again, we usually have the standings pulled up on the screen. I don't need to know. I'm pretty sure I'm not racing Mike Bliss for the win, so I know he's a lap down when Tony Stewart's right in front of him or something. So what I do for these is just random encouragements again. But you could also just adhere with this. Like the next 2 cars are in front of her position. You can just do whatever you want here. But I just decided to stray from what the original callouts were and have some fun with them. And more purple ones here. And I made truck and car spotter packs, so that's why some of these have truck, some of them have car. And then down here you have the top 10 callouts and top 20 callouts. And these are the ones that you'll hear a lot at restrictor plate tracks when if you're teetering between 20th or like 21st and 18th, you might hear the top 20 call out like 10 times in 12 laps or something ridiculous, you know. Or it wouldn't be that much, but you know what I mean. And then you're in the lead. There was actually another you're in the lead. And I've actually heard these. I don't know which one triggers which here, but you'll hear both of those a lot. Cautions, wrecks. There's trucks. You got a truck stopped up high. You got in a big accident. Hey, are you okay? Okay, we're under caution. And again, you can reference Mystical Spotter Index, and especially the actual indexed Mystical actually.
You all right?
Yeah, you all right? Like that's one of those call outs from right here. And I have, good Lord, buddy, are you okay? Which, and saying it, I sound like the default spotter because I just don't know any better. But you can always reference that index in the individual folders to kind of remind you what the actual file is that's going to play there. This is under caution. A lot of it's self-explanatory. But we'll talk about the green ones, the inside and the outside line, because the default way that the game sets it up is stay behind the 71 truck on the outside line, stay behind the 25 truck on the inside line. And once I realized that that's just a random file that plays, basically I didn't want the string, and I actually won't get into it right now, but just remember these two. That's why I have them highlighted in green. Then we go to pit road, and this is all, hey, okay, we're filling up on the next stop. You're too far forward. They're holding us for 15 seconds, all this. Save your fuel, all this. Get going. In my experience, the Go 6 is a late in the race pit stop. Like a splash and go late in the race, it triggers this Go 6. So you don't hear it as much as this first one. So you just don't want anything annoying in those. The green ones, these are ones that I enunciate. Because it's a speed limit and you're jumping down on a pit road and you want the information as quick as possible and you want it to be clear. And you can see in my spotter pack, I don't have it as 40. Or I eventually say 40 or 50 or 60. But I actually started off with the numbers by themselves, 40, 40, 45, or 45, 45. Because guess what? With the bad audio in the game, 40 and 30 sound a lot alike. 50 and 60 sound a lot alike. So you can either really enunciate or go the route I did, which is 40. And because I don't want to hear the speed limit on the track today at the race you're at is 40. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear 5 seconds of stuff before I hear the speed limit. I want to hear the speed limit right away. So that's why in my spotter pack I have it jumping in immediately. 40, 45, 50. But I mean, you can do whatever you want in your spotter pack. These 75s, these aren't in Mystical's resource, but they were in the Jimmy Johnson pack. And we'll talk about this. You need 569 files in your spotter pack for it to work. And basically, that's what all these numbers are. Because I went through and made sure that we had 569 files in this spotter tutorial spreadsheet. And there's not. I don't want to. I'm definitely not. Definitely don't want to criticize Mystical at all for the resource that was put together, because it's a lot of data entry, and some things are going to be missed if it's not double and triple checked by different sets of eyes. And I guarantee I probably missed. I'm 99% sure I probably missed something in all this data entry. and hopefully the community can right the ship there. And then this is, I should fix this one. I think this is, I'm going to make a note here because this will be this tutorial thing will be linked into the description, and I gotta put that actual file name there, which I'm guessing is just gonna be wedge out, but that will be updated in the I'm writing that down right now, so that'll be updated. Now we go to laps and restarts. And again, all self-explanatory, all the U1 call-outs and everything, but the red ones I highlighted. I just wanted to talk about these real quick. The good job wave file, it'll play just after random call-outs. They'll be like, all right, for example, the default spotter will say, okay, you're fifth, you're back in fifth, good job. And it'll just randomly say the good job wave file randomly for no reason. And sometimes it sounds silly if it's, if it's specific. So a good way to do that is, like I said, keep it generic here. And I just have, we got the truck to beat today, or the car to beat today, or something. And then the other ones are the finishing call-outs. And in my experience, and I actually have these listed, the hell of a finish is most likely top 5 or top 10. I've heard it exclusively in P4, P3, and P2. So pretty sure that's just obviously great job. I mean, hell of a finish. Line 17 is bring it. The default was bring it home. Let's get the heck out of here. This is played when I finished P11, 28, 31, 33, and 35. So it seems like it, leans toward a bad finish, but hearing it in P11 threw me off. So you don't want it to be like, because I actually had this as a bad finish sounding one where it was like, oh, we didn't have our best day today when I finished P11, and I immediately was like, well, I got to fix that one. But again, as a quick aside, Mystical had mentioned when I had posted, suggestions on spotter packs, actually, different tiers of spotter packs, like a crew chief, like a high tier crew chief, maybe a P11 finish isn't good. Like, oh, what the heck happened today, guys? Let's go. But, a low tier crew chief might always be enthusiastic. Like, you'll finish 35th, which we'll talk about here. And he'll be like, all right, hey, man, hey, we're making progress. So there's a lot of unique ways to tackle these. The halfway, and then here's the other red ones. The Fat Lady Has Sung is the one I used because this seems like really across the board. I heard it in P3, P4, P29, and P39. So this is really all-encompassing. But the one I'm mostly I'm real like 98% confident about is that the Next Time wave only plays on a bottom 20 finish, because I've only heard them in 21, 28, 29, and 38 finishing positions. So I'm pretty confident that those only play on a bad finish. So you can probably get away with like a, but even me, I wasn't that confident because I was like, nothing comes easy. There's always next week. So whatever. 9. Time. Here's all the, hey, practice is over. All the green ones here are the lap time stuff. 29.975. And basically how this, if you have a lap time of 29.975, it'll play the 20 wave file, then the 9, and then the point, and then whatever else I said, 975, then it'll play these into 3 individual ones. And if it's flat, it'll say flat. And then you want O, you don't want 0, or you can have 0, 29.09, wait, but I just had O, whatever. Next up are the RPM callouts on pit road. And this is something, again, I want to hear the speed limit right away. I don't want to hear, okay, you're on pit road, keep it, hang on, I'll tell you what speed limit to keep it on, 3,500. I don't want to hear all that. I want to hear the number right away. So I actually used a trick here because I realized that the keep it on and keep it under always bleed into these numbers. So I was like, why do I even need this? Keep it on and keep it under. So you'll hear, and if you might have already heard, I don't have those in my file. You need those files. Like I said, you need all 569 files when you compile it and make it into a .dat file at the end, and I'll show you how to do that. But basically, these keep it on and keep it under files are like a nanosecond of silence. So it plays real quick and moves on to the RPM. So when I'm on pit road, it'll say 35 is the speed limit, 35, 3,500 in second. And it happens all that quick, and you get the speed limit right away. And plus, you don't get distracted by a bleed over of 2 lines. Keep it on 3,500 in second, and it just, it reminds you that it's not a human being spotting for you. But of course, it's not. And then down here at the bottom, I had some Super Troopers fun here with the leaders at the start-finish line and the meow. And again, you can have fun. I forget where Mystical put these on their index, but I put them here, which I think they are on that page anyway, on Mystical's resource. Okay, now the good stuff. This is all the other things we've covered. They're pretty much, even the keep it on and keep it under, it was pretty much self-explanatory. This is where we got to kind of get into it. And I'm going to show you 2 different ways to handle it. These are the get behind and come around the 5 car in the pacing line and stuff like that. There's 2 different ways to tackle it. And in my spotter packs, well, there's probably more than 2 ways to tackle it, but I tackled it 2 ways. In my BZ spotter pack, which I'm going to have to do a couple things
55.
Here. There you go. We'll get rid of all that right now. In my BZ spotter pack, let's do, for example, get behind the 55 car. It's going to sound like this.
Get behind the 55.
Now, ignore how short the is here playing in iTunes, because it's so short that it doesn't even register here as a play, but it sounds good in game. Because basically, nobody says get behind the 55 car like a robot. They say get behind the 55 car, and the word the is a downbeat. It's quick. And you gotta, it's tough to navigate and tough to really get it nailed down. It sounds much better than this.
Get behind the 55. Get behind the 55.
Get behind the, but it sounds better in game, as I've stressed 20 times by now. So that's how it handles that. But the tricky part with the word the file is it's there basically for the 3-digit cars in the game. And when I made, this was the first spotter pack I made, and I adhered to their rules about the and then the 3-digit cars. But then I'll show you the second one, the Yin's spotter pack I made. I abandoned 3-digit cars. 3-digit cars, they're still in the game, and you'll still hear call-outs for them, but they don't sound as good because I just focused on the 2-digit cars. So, for example, we'll have him say,
come around.
We'll have him say, come around the 255 car.
The 255.
There you go. But we're going to get rid of the because with a 3-digit car, the won't play. So he'll say, whatever he says, come around the 255. If there's the 255 car in the game,
come around the 255.
There you go. And it sounds silly because 3-digit cars suck. So I'll show you, but now I'm going to show you how I tackled it in this other pack. Which is, we'll do get behind the 8.
Get behind the 8.
Now, the doesn't exist. It is a nanosecond of silence. Excuse me. But it has to still be in the game, in the spotter pack that you put together. So it's a nanosecond of silence, and it just skips it, basically, even though it still plays it. And what I did was I just have get behind, just kind of just giving me kind of a beat to get to the actual car number and to make it sound like kind of the spotter's trying to figure out exactly who you should get behind.
Get behind the 8.
There you go. But because I have skipped the word the, and I put the word the actually in each individual car file number, like all of these are the individual car numbers. How the game reads it, if it's a 3-digit car number, is it'll grab one of these the numbers. It can be the 299 car, so it'll grab the 2, the 6, or what, the 699 car, for example. It will play this and then this file. So, but in this spotter pack I did where I abandoned the word the, I have all these starting as the 99 car, the 98 car, the 97, the 96, the 95, the 94 car. So when the game when you go that route, whenever you try to have the game call out a 3-digit car number, you'll hear this.
Get behind the 8, the 32 car.
So it's, I mean, actually that was the, it's the, forget the 8 for now.
Get behind the 32 car.
That's how that'll sound with a 32 car, but the actual the 8 was actually one of those 3 that lead into the 3-digit one I just talked about. So actually throwing the 8 back in there, we'll hear.
Get behind the 8, the 32 car.
So you can hear there's an extra the in the 3-digit car numbers. But guess what? Just don't drive with 3-digit car numbers. Like I just wanted to find a way to make the get behind the number file. I wanted that to be as seamless as possible. And just so you don't hear get behind the 55 car, because you have to keep the same intonation for 110 car numbers with the same, how you begin the sentence with come around or get behind. You have to finish it with the same inflection in your voice. It's tough. Again, unless you're a voice god, don't strive for protection here, or for perfection. But just try your hardest, I guess. I don't know. Where are we at here? 37 minutes. Jesus. But this is all necessary because this. I don't think this is something that in 10 minutes I can explain. Basically, to test this is the 02 car. This is the 07 car for Clint Boyer back in 2005, I think, or 2006. That's the 07 car is that file, and that's all these numbers. But then this probably can be. We talked about the purple ones that lead into the 3 digits, the 297 car. The blue ones are just straight a car that would be the 100 car. So that's the 100 car, the 200 car, the 300 car. That is its own file, totally fine. Then the red ones are the interesting ones, the 00 or the 00. You can say whatever you want there. Or no, that would be the 00. If James Bond was in the field, that would be the 007 car. And that would be 2 different files. But in mine, it would be the 00, the 7 car. The 00 truck is standalone. Get behind the 00 truck. The O is its own. It bleeds into. It bleeds into a 3-digit one. It could be the 056 truck. And then the 0 truck, that's the 0 truck. And then the 000 truck is the truck with 3 zeros. And then the pace car is get behind the pace car if you're in the lead. And you can actually have fun with that and put get behind the pace car. And then in this file also have, no, don't drive through it, which obviously you can in the game. And finally, on my resource or spotter tutorial index are all the things that don't really... everything from line 13 on down, you don't hear. You don't hear these files in the game, but they have to be in the pack. And even the Dave Hoffman's Jimmy Johnson spotter pack has the vanilla stock insults in his spotter pack because they don't play. They weren't gonna just make random 15 insult wave files that don't play. And even Reckless doesn't play. and the driver start your engine ones doesn't play. So, but the radio noise, and you can just, when you download the spotter packs, in the link in the link in the description will have the link to the spotter packs. Those will have all of my individual wave files in those, so you can always just go and steal them. But I would say if you are going to make a spotter pack, and you use the ones that are in my files that you download, maybe send an email to Dave Hoffman to ask for permission, because I emailed him and asked if I could have permission to use all of his radio clicks that were in the JJ spotter pack that are different than the ones that are in the default one. He was like, yeah, have a ball. But it's always worth asking for permission. Now we're going to get onto the track, and we're going to test some things and see how all of these things work in practice. All right, so now we'll move on to testing. And guess what? A lot of the vanilla callouts, like anything. Okay, we're going green here. You don't have to test those because you'll hear them. Just in regular racing. But what you want to test are the ones that bleed over a couple of lines, like the pace cars in 1A. There's a wreck in 1A, and I'll show you the easy way to test these. For where the pace car is at, you want to go to a road course and turn on cautions. No damage, because you might wreck and mess up your test. But go to a road course, no full pace lap. And what you can do, if you don't know, you can always go into the other setting and set 0 as bring out a yellow, and it will just bring out a yellow for you. So I'm going to start a race.
Drivers, start your engines.
And we'll I'm not going to make you sit through the whole lap, but I'm basically going to let it go green and then bring out a yellow, and then come around and get on pit road. And when you're on pit road is when they call out, hey, the pace car is in 1A. It's on the back stretch. The pace car is in 2A. And those are the ones that you want to test, and this is how you test them. But first, we got to follow Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and John Wilkes Booth to the green flag. I'm currently running a season full of fictional drivers, and
time to go to work. Have some fun.
Those owner names on the back, Chad Crow and R.A. Kaiser, they're commenters and subscribers that own the trucks, and I'm giving away money and stuff. But that's the Macho Man up there. So we're green, but I'm bringing out a yellow.
Oh, we got a yellow. Yellow. Come on, keep digging. Right back to the stripe.
And I have the spotter turned up, obviously, so we can hear everything. But I'll catch you on the flip side of this if I stay on the track. And I'll be on pit road, and we'll hear the pace car call-outs, where the pace truck is at, pace car. All right, so I've run a lap, and then I'm going through Hockey Canada corner here.
Pit road is closed.
And I'm going to let Kareem go around me and go on pit road. And you actually can test a lot of things here, because you're going to get a black flag.
Is the speed limit 45, 3,500 in second. The pace cars in turn 6. The pace cars in turn 7.
So there we go. We're testing those two files bleeding together.
The pace cars on the long straight.
So we're testing that. And I don't want to pit here and have all the the pit stop sounds. Excuse me. So I want to hear, this is how you test all those callouts. You can sit on pit road and wait for the pace car to
clear pit lane, get going there. Okay, we're under caution there. Whoa, we're up. That was some good racing, buddy. Get behind the 33 car.
So there we go. We just tested a lot. We tested, I thought I was going to get a black flag for entering a closed pit, but I didn't. But the long straight is a long straight.
Get behind the 33 car.
I'm going. So the long straight is the long straight. That's why we didn't hear a call out for the next turn yet, because the pace car is probably going 30 miles an hour there. So that's how you test all those call-outs. And you can go to Pocono to test the Long Pond Straight call-out. You can go to the Talladega and test all the tri-oval call-outs. So that takes care of where the pace car's at, but now we want to test where a wreck is at. And to do that, I usually go to North Carolina. Turn the difficulty all the way down because you want to keep catching up to them to wreck them, and then turn off yellow flags as well. And here I'm on the outside line, and we're going to hear a call out.
Start your engines.
The default call out is get behind the 41 truck on the outside line. But once I realized how the on the outside line file is set up, I messed with it and I changed it. So he's going to say get behind the 41 and stay up there on the outside.
Get behind the 41 car. And you're staying up top there on the outside line. Time to go to work, have some fun. The pace car is off, stay on your toes there.
But again, you don't want that to be too long because it might delay the green flag call out. So any of those files that play before a green flag, you want it to be brief. So now we want to wreck to test your. There's a wreck in 1A. There's a wreck in turn 2. Is you have to wreck somebody, spin them around, but they have to be in your rearview mirror. You won't get the call out if it's in front of you. So we got Billy Ocean here. I'm trying to
inside, car up high there. There's a wreck in turn 3. Clear, clear.
So there you go. That's how you're going to test. There's a wreck. I don't know if I talked over that and I forget to, because I'm not going to watch this whole thing and remember where I talked over the spotter. So I'm going to catch up to the field here, which is why I have the difficulty way down, so I can catch up to him and spin him out. So we're going to try to hook. We're going to try to hook Doc Holliday here.
Clear up top. Car inside there. Car up high there. Clear, clear. There's a wreck on the front stretch.
There you go. So that's how you test the wreck call outs. And again, you can go to Long Pond. Because something I neglected to mention is, but I have them highlighted in green, so you'll remember, is there's a wreck and whatever turn it is, those have to be, whenever you're selecting the audio in Audacity, have them real tight to the audio because you want those to be kind of seamless. And again, if you want to strive for perfection, you can, but I don't know. Some of my call-outs aren't going to be perfect and not seamless when they probably could be. But I mean, you get to a certain point where you're like, okay, like I get it. But those are the test call-outs. I'm trying to remember if there was something else I wanted to test. Yeah, we tested the pace car. We tested the come around the 3-digit cars. We actually did that, but I'm trying to remember where this is at. I had changed numbers of certain cars to 3 digits. 1 second here. And apparently I didn't. Or no, Cup 2000 was where I did it. Yeah, these are going to be the 6-digit or the 3-digit call outs, and you'll hear why they sound bad.
Drivers, start your engines.
So whatever Terry Labonte is the 597, so you'll hear how this sounds if you skip the.
Get behind the 97 car.
There you go.
And you'll be coming up on the inside line.
So that's what it sounds like if you just say, to hell with the 3-digit car numbers, I'm not worrying about it. But to give you an idea on what it sounds like if you do, this is, YZ cars, and then if you do decide to go the adhering to the rule, you'll hear what this sounds like now.
Drivers, start your engines.
You're going to hear a much better get behind the 597.
Get behind the 597 truck on the inside line.
Yeah, and I have the truck spotter pack loaded
Get
up.
behind the 597 truck on the inside line. Going green here, reach up there and pull them belts tight. The pace truck is off.
So this is trucks, even though that's a car. But now we're going to test also the speed limit stuff.
Green flag, green flag. Green, green, green. Crack that whip. Keep it under 4.5, 45, 3,500 in second. Don't speed on pit road, 3,500 in second.
Shut up. You can hear how he goes from the speed limit to the RPM right away, skipping the keep it on and keep it under file, which is just like a nanosecond of silence. And then we'll get some black flag call-outs here.
Clear of pit lane, get going. Oh shit, they're showing us the black flag, buddy. You went too fast on pit road, bud. They want us to do a pass-through on pit road.
Test it, test it, test it. Popping, popping, test it.
There you go.
Syphilis S's. This is the spotter pack tutorial merge wave file test.
That's the merge file that is overwriting what's in the spcc.dat
My
file.
man, you have to come in to clear this black flag. What are you doing?
So there you go. I mean, I've really hopefully set you off and running here, but want to touch on a few last things. So yeah, we tested everything. Now I'll show you I'll show you a quick way to start exporting these things. Hopefully I'm not talking too close into the mic. Now just suspend your belief here and just imagine that these are like five different things in the imagine these are the first 5 things that you're exporting. So what I do is I'll go to the first one and play it, which we can't play it because Audacity's opened up in a separate window, but you can select the audio, and you can press spacebar right now and it'll play just the selected audio, so you can hear exactly what you're going to be exporting. Let me think what I was going to say. This is where whenever you're doing, like, there's a wreck or the pace cars in 1A and 2A or whatever, or even if you go all in and want to be really good with the get around the 93 car, you really want to zoom in and get right on the audio so it's it's as seamless as possible. But for example, say what I would do is I would highlight this and I would hit spacebar to make sure I'm grabbing what I'm grabbing, and then while it's playing, I quickly tab over to the Excel or the Google Sheet, and then I have Control-Shift-E as export selected audio. And I have this as a test export, and that's the black flag wave file done. And then what I'll do is I'll select the next audio. And the way to do this is, I'll show you a quick example here. The way to do this is, this is whatever, this might be the cars or something I recorded, but give yourself a beat between everything you say in your spreadsheet. Like you'll say, oh crap, they're showing us the black flag, big man. Pause for a second and then start the next one. And you don't want like any fluff in the middle, like, answering your phone or something, because the easiest way to do this is just to mindlessly hit them one by one. Like you see this big chunk, you know that it's this one. So say this was the first black flag thing I exported. And then I grab this audio, play it right now. It's playing, and I hurry up and go here, grab it, save. And then while I grab it. It's playing right now. I tab over, grab this, export, boom, done. And once your fingers get used to it, it's game over. Like, you can go real fast. But in my preferences, I have keyboard and Control-Shift-E is my export selected audio. So again, like right now, you would select it, hit spacebar so it's playing, and then you tab over to your spreadsheet. And by the time you get back to Audacity, usually it's done playing, and you can immediately go to your export select audio hotkey and paste what you just copied. Done. Go to this, copy, and it can go that fast. And we're finishing up here now. Where are we at here? Over an hour. It's not. I mean, it's necessary. I think it's just. Again, I don't know if I mentioned, just to avoid some pitfalls that I came across. I think it's if you're watching this, you're interested. If I haven't annoyed you, and you really want to learn how to do all this, this is how you do it. I don't know. But finishing up, I have some notes. Again, every file must be included. 569 files, and again, these are numbered. And whenever I was putting this together, I actually got to the end and had 568, and I had to go find this one, Driver Start Your Engines, which is one that, it was one of those that I basically narrowed down, and I'm like, I bet it's one of those ones that I just ignored because it doesn't play, and I went and found that, and I had to renumber the rest of them, but it was whatever. But all of them have to be in the pack. And again, I use the radio files from Jimmy Johnson, but Mysticals has all of those in here if you want to use the base ones as well. And those insults, those can be nanosecond files if you want them. Like the keep it on and keep it under, you can just you can do whatever. But whatever files you put in there, it doesn't matter because they're not going to play. And then finally, here we go. I'm going to have this. One more thing. Say you're done, and I stressed at the beginning about having it at 5512 hertz and 8-bit, because if it's anything other than that, it crashes the game. Okay. Now, if you're a stickler like I am, but also once you start exporting these, they all export the same, so you don't really have to check them. But
On the first straight.
But if you want to be a stickler and make sure they're all that, because people will be mad at you, man, if they finish a race and then the white flag call out isn't 5512 8-bit and it crashes the game. Oh boy, you'll hear about it. But what I do in iTunes is I go to Song Info and I go to File, and you can see right here 8-bit 5512, awesome, and you can actually mouse through each one here, click through. But again, once you get into that rhythm in Audacity, it saves your export options, so you can just fly through it. And I mean, as far as time-wise, I don't know if I've mentioned. For example, I'll show you this. Right before I did this, where are we at here? Right here. These are all the car files, 117 of them. I was able to export them all from Audacity in, what? 12 minutes. 3:38 to 3:50. I work night shifts, so that's why I'm up at 3:50 in the morning. But I was able to export 117 files, which is, what? Over, I'm trying to think of the math there. It's a large chunk. The car numbers are a large chunk of the spotter pack, and you just exported them in 12 minutes. Just a matter of selecting the audio, tabbing back to the Excel spreadsheet, tabbing back to Audacity, hotkey, export, boom, done. Move on to the next one. And again, it's just something where you just got to keep your head down and just plow away at it. But I had originally made a spotter pack that had bad audio. Then we re-recorded it, which was the BZ spotter pack that my friend recorded for me. So by that time, I had made 2 spotter packs. And then I decided to make one on my own, which was just me having a silly Southern accent, and that just sounded awful. But I had recorded the whole thing and exported it thinking I was the best voice actor ever, but it sounded awful. So then the final one I did was just me kind of leaning into my Pittsburgh accent a little bit, and had the quality good, I had my workflow down. I was able to make that final spotter pack, recording and exporting, in 3 hours, 3.5 hours. But I don't want to give you expectations. It might take you 4 or 5 hours, let alone coming up with all the call outs you want, all the unique ones for your spotter pack. But now finally, let's make the actual spotter pack. You can see in this individual car files, 569, the magic number. You need that. And what I'll have linked in the description is a program called MakeDat, and I have it on my desktop right here. I just dragged it because I think the left side's covered up by the outline of the tutorial. But what you do is you just drag the MakeDat. I usually just copy it because I don't want to accidentally delete it. But you just copy it into the folder with your 569, and you just double click it, and it'll just grab everything. And let's go to date modified, and there we go. This is going to be a .dat file. You just rename it to SPCC, and there is your spotter pack. That is your spotter pack. Like that's it. But troubleshooting wise, again, 569 files. Because if you just something's missing, and I actually had to I have the Jimmy Johnson pack that I know works, and you can see 571 because there's a pack file and a .dat file. A pack file is with WinMip2. That's a whole other realm we can discuss. I talked about it in all my MIP videos, but subtract those two files and you got 569. Those are the ones you need. And whenever I initially made a .dat file for my spotter pack, it wasn't working. And then I realized, I bet I need all of the files in there. So I basically had to have both these windows open, my files and the Jimmy Johnson files, and I had to mouse down. I had to scroll down each one and make sure they lined up, and then I was able to find one or two that I was missing. And that's why, again, that took me an hour and change or whatever. I just saved you an hour of troubleshooting with this hour video, and an hour of frustration by letting you know, by numbering those in that tutorial. That's just, I think that's going to be extremely helpful. Check the top comments or the description if I forgot something that was crucially important in this, and I'll make a comment about it. But and if you have any tips or suggestions, feedback, anything, questions, leave a comment. But yeah, this should really get you off and running on this. And I'm trying to remember if there's anything I forgot. Yeah, the big thing, aim high with your volume. Go high, because people can always turn it down. We did the testing of how to test those certain things. We did the mess with the get around and come behind the 3-digit cars, the tricks for the outside and inside line callouts. I demoed how to export it quickly, and then I stressed the 569 files, and then I have the MakeDat file in there, program the .exe, and making sure that you double check that they're all 5512 8-bit files. So that's everything. If you're still listening, that means you're probably wanting to make a pack, and yeah, it's some work for sure, but your work will live on forever on the internet, so it might be worth a shot. Because I mean, the 20-year anniversary of NASCAR Racing 2003, still amazing things being produced, and hopefully this tutorial is going to put out a lot more unique spotter packs and everything. And I think that's it. If you do make a spotter pack, leave a comment maybe on this video with the link to them, because maybe someone that's not used to the community that finds one of my new spotter packs, it'll just open up Pandora's box when there's comments showing 5 or 6 links to different ones or something. I don't know, but yeah, that's it. Again, I'm doing one last check to make sure I remembered everything. I'm pretty sure I nailed everything. But yeah, 569. That's the number. But okay. Hey, thanks for watching.